Designing assignments that reduce reliance on AI. By the end of this presentation, you will be able to design assignments that help students avoid improper use of AI. We're talking about reducing academic dishonesty, otherwise known as cheating. And as we do this, we want to avoid falling into a trap, the trap of using AI detectors and relying on them too much, as happened in this case, where a professor failed all of his students because he thought he had detected cheating, use of AI improperly, and he failed everyone. He was wrong about that, and he lost his job. We want to avoid that. The problem is that AI detectors don't really work. And these are some quotes that come from the creators of ChatGPT from their research on it. They say that one of our key findings was that these tools sometimes suggest that human written content was generated by AI. It labeled human written text like Shakespeare and the Declaration of Independence as AI generated. That's sort of amusing, but what's less amusing is the next thing they found. They found there were also indications that it could disproportionately impact students who had learned or were learning English as a second language, and students whose writing was particularly formulaic or concise. And I've seen this finding in several different places, that students who are learning English as an additional language are more likely to be detected by these AI detectors as using AI, even when that's, of course, not the case. In fact, when I was in Vietnam in the summer, I met an aspiring teacher who told me that she was experimenting with these AI detectors, and she gave one an essay that she had completely written herself, and it's told her that her essay was 100% AI generated. Now, even if we believed what these AI detectors said, there's another big problem, and that is that simple techniques can trick these detectors and reduce their effectiveness. I don't think I want to share those techniques with you right now, but trust me, there are lots of ways that students who, if they want to cheat, they can do it and not be detected by these detectors. So, if you insist on using an AI detector, avoid making accusations based on what it indicates. It does give false positives. It falsely accuses people of using AI when they haven't. Maybe the only reasonable thing to do is use it as the basis for beginning a conversation with a student. And perhaps we can be straightforward and say, I looked at this and I used an AI detector, and it says that it's 100% sure that you used AI. So can you tell me what do you think happened here? And lots of times, if students have used AI, they will perhaps share with you their process. But at other times, they might not have used AI at all, and that's important for us to understand as well. Now, if you feel certain that a student is being dishonest, you may consider using something like Google Docs together with an add-on. I'm going to give an example of Draftback, but there are various options for this. But basically, the idea here is we can use something like Google Docs, where the student is an editor and the teacher, myself, we are both editors. And as an editor myself, I can use a Chrome extension called Draftback, and I can look at their work and I can see their process. It becomes a movie. And so if I press play here, I can see my students writing as it happened step by step. I can slow it down, speed it up, I can back it up. And what's nice here is as I look at it, I see my student is brainstorming here on the page before she begins writing. And I can see lots of spelling mistakes, lots of errors, and that's fine. Learning a language involves making mistakes, but this shows me something about her work, and it shows me that it is indeed her work. And so if I really feel uncomfortable about this possibility that my students are cheating on things, this is an option that I have. And again, it's called Draftback, but there are other options available out there. Okay, now I also maybe prefer to just design the class a little bit differently. So one thing I might do is break large assignments down into smaller pieces and do some of those pieces of the large assignment in class so that we can look at it together and figure out, how I can help them. And I can be more confident that they're doing the work themselves without too much reliance on technology. So for example, if I were doing an art class and I wanted my students to draw a bee, and I simply said, draw a bee, maybe in my mind I want this, but maybe I get something more, maybe I don't get that right away because students might feel that it's too difficult, and they might feel like they have to cheat to generate that image for me. But if we do it in class step by step, and I say, you begin with these kinds of oval shapes and a circle and something like a rectangle, and if we go step by step in class together with certain benchmarks along the way, then students will not feel such a need to get outside assistance. They will be more comfortable that they can do these things themselves. And as they do, of course, they are learning. Another option is we can try to create a culture in our classrooms where AI is not used improperly. And so instead of the teacher telling the students what to do, sometimes it's best to work together with the students to create your policies. Now, every class is different and every teacher has different styles. This may not be the best thing for everybody, but I have had some success with this myself in certain contexts. And the way it looked for me was something like maybe I could have students contribute to the decisions about the norms for the class. So sometimes I've had students right in the beginning of the semester help me decide some rules for the class that we will add to our syllabus or our course policies. In the case of AI, maybe I will have students work on their own for a few minutes to write independent reflections about what norms or rules are appropriate for using AI in the class, with the assumption that they are here to learn and also gain useful experience. Now, this is for some more mature learners probably, but we might be surprised. It might work for more than that. Now, students, after they work by themselves and generate some ideas on their own, they have a chance to work in small groups to share their ideas and maybe come to consensus on some norms of what they think is appropriate for using AI to support their learning or not. Now, throughout all of this, the teacher is there as a guide, right? And so if this is going well, then the teacher can choose to go further and have the groups share these ideas with the whole class and then have the class vote on the best ones. Again, all with the guidance of the instructor. But what's really nice here is that the students are kind of policing themselves. They're kind of creating their own culture of education and how they allow AI to influence that. And then from there, if the class votes on some norms that are appropriate, they could be turned into something that's like a class contract that maybe everybody signs or agrees to somehow and is displayed prominently as a reminder to the students. That's another option. Now, a couple other things though, for increasing academic integrity and learning and reducing cheating, just a few more things I want to share with you in closing. One is maybe we should examine what might make students want to cheat. Perhaps we are putting a lot of pressure on students to do too many assignments at the same time. Maybe there's something that's a little bit unreasonable in our expectations. Maybe there's something that we can change about the way we structure our assignments and our deadlines that will give students more of a sense that it is possible for them to complete them without any kind of cheating. We also might reconsider assignments that are easily answered by AI. If it's so easy to do it with artificial intelligence, maybe it's not a great assignment. But what does that mean? Well, instead of those kinds of assignments, maybe we want to use assignments that require specific connections to the course content. Something that says, remember what we talked about in class on Tuesday and include 3 points from our discussion. Or maybe connect this to your personal experience. Now, we can still use AI to cheat in writing about personal experience, but we are more motivated to express things ourselves, though, when we are talking about our own experience. So that can be a way to sort of increase motivation to do things yourself or to have students do things themselves. We can also do the writing in class, of course, and that makes it easier for the teacher to say, okay, no technology for this segment. I want you to write in class here, and we'll look at it together. Another thing is to celebrate imperfection, perhaps. A big part of learning language is making mistakes. We simply cannot learn a language without making mistakes. And so if we can celebrate when students make mistakes and we can explore what those mistakes mean and what we can learn from them and see that there's trying and growth happening, maybe students will feel a little bit less pressure to give you something that is perfect. Those are some ideas. I hope they are useful. And I hope that by the end of this presentation, you now have some more ideas about how you can design assignments that help students avoid improper use of AI.